At the crossroads of Europe and Asia, wedged between the boundless steppe and the shimmering expanse of the world's largest inland sea, lies a republic of stone and sky. Its name, of Turkic-Persian origin, means simply the land of mountains. This is Dagestan. It is a territory defined not by gentle plains but by a dramatic vertical collision of landscapes. Here, in a space smaller than many European nations, the earth plummets from alpine glaciers to deserts lying below the level of the sea. This extreme gradient is not merely a feature of the land, it is the engine of its existence, the force that has forged one of the most biodiverse and most challenging environments in the Northern Hemisphere. This is a land of profound, almost dizzying contrasts. In the south, the colossal peaks of the Greater Caucasus rise to touch the clouds, with the ice-clad summit of Mount Bazarduzu reaching over 14,652 feet on the border with Azerbaijan. These mountains are not a single monolithic wall, but a labyrinth of sheer cliffs, deep gorges, shadowed canyons, and isolated plateaus occupying half of the Republic's entire landmass. They are a world fractured into 1,000 hidden valleys, each with its own subtle character. From these heights, the land cascades downwards through forested foothills, rich with oak and hornbeam, and then further into the arid, windswept steppes. Finally, it settles into the vast, sun-scorched expanse of the Caspian Depression, where saline flats and ancient seabeds lie 92 feet below the level of the ocean. This entire vertical world, a drop of nearly 14,764 feet, is compressed into a compact territory, creating a mosaic of microclimates and habitats, stacked one atop the other like the floors of a great natural skyscraper. It is this compression, this intense juxtaposition of worlds, that has made Dagestan a crucible of evolution, a global biodiversity hotspot where ancient lineages persist and new life forms have emerged in splendid isolation. But how does life not just survive, but thrive in a world of such brutal verticality? What kind of creature can call both the sun-scorched desert and the frozen peak its home? This is not just a place on a map, it is a laboratory of life governed by the unyielding laws of altitude and climate.
These mountains are a perfect engine for creating new life. A single population of, say, lizards gets separated by a new canyon or a rising ridge. In 10,000 years, you might have two distinct species where there was one. Each valley is a world unto itself, an isolated laboratory for evolution. Dagestan doesn't just host biodiversity, it actively manufactures it.
More than 1,800 rivers, the arteries of the Caucasus, are born from the snow and ice of the high peaks. The great rivers, the Sulak, the Samur and the Terik, carve their way eastward, their waters a milky green-grey with glacial silt. They transport life-giving water and sediment down from the sterile heights to the fertile lowlands. They are corridors of life, connecting the frozen alpine zone to the subtropical deltas, their banks lined with unique riparian forests that stand as green ribbons in an often arid landscape. Their journey ends at the nearly 250-mile coastline of the Caspian, a world unto itself, whose saline waters hold secrets of ancient life, now facing an uncertain future. The climate, like the land, is a tapestry of extremes. The northern plains are parched, receiving less than 10 inches of rain a year, while the mountain slopes, catching the moisture-laden winds from the sea, can be drenched with 3 times that amount. The mountains act as a great wall, creating a pronounced rain shadow that dictates the character of the land on either side, while creating distinct vertical zones of life on their own flanks. In winter, the high country is locked in a frozen stillness for 5 long months, with temperatures plunging to 20 below zero under a persistent shroud of cloud. This is a land of crossroads and refuges, where species from Europe, Asia, and the Middle East mingle, and where ancient, relict ecosystems like the subtropical liana forests of the Samur Delta have survived since the Tertiary period, living museums from a warmer, wetter past. To understand life here is to understand the power of the mountain. The highest, most inaccessible ramparts of the Caucasus are the domain of a true master of the mountains. The East Caucasian Tur, or Dagestan Tur, is an animal sculpted by the cliff face, a large wild goat endemic to the eastern half of the Greater Caucasus. Its entire existence is a negotiation with gravity. Its powerful, stocky body and muscular legs are perfectly adapted for life on near-vertical surfaces. Its hooves, sharp-edged and cloven with a soft, yielding inner pad, provide a grip on the narrowest of ledges that seems to defy the laws of physics. They move across precipitous rock walls not with reckless haste, but with a calm, deliberate assurance, a fluidity that speaks of millennia spent in this vertical world. The Tur is the soul of these high peaks, an emblem of Dagestani wilderness. Their life is a cycle of seasonal migration, a vertical journey dictated by the availability of food and the depth of the snow. As spring's thaw creeps up the slopes, melting the winter blanket and revealing the first shoots of green, the Tur follow it. They ascend to the high alpine meadows that lie above the tree line, vast carpets of grass and wildflowers that flourish under the intense summer sun. Here, from May to October, they graze on the rich flush of new growth, replenishing the reserves lost during the long winter and building strength for the challenges to come. The males, with their magnificent scimitar-shaped horns that can grow to over 3 feet in length, sweeping back over their shoulders, often graze at higher, more open altitudes. The females and their kids, born in the late spring, tend to seek the relative shelter of slightly lower slopes, never straying far from the escape routes offered by the nearest cliff face. The birth of a kid is a quiet miracle in this harsh landscape. The female will find a secluded ledge, and within hours of being born, the young Tur is on its feet, its innate sense of balance already allowing it to navigate the treacherous terrain its life will depend on. Yet this miracle is terrifyingly fragile. With eagles circling above and wolves patrolling below, what are the actual odds that this tiny, vulnerable creature will live to see its first winter? The mountain gives life, but it offers no guarantees. With the first snows of autumn, the herds begin their descent. This is not a panicked flight, but a gradual, considered movement to lower elevations and south-facing slopes, seeking refuge from the deep winter snowpack and foraging on the woody brows of hardy shrubs. It is during this time, from late November through January, that the social fabric of the Tur is transformed. The rut begins. The great solitary males who have spent the summer in bachelor groups are now driven by a powerful hormonal imperative. They descend from their lonely crags, their powerful bodies silhouetted against the pale winter sun. The air, once still, now crackles with a new tension. They seek the herds of females, and where they gather, conflict is inevitable. The valleys become arenas for some of the most dramatic contests in the natural world. It begins with posturing, a display of raw power where rivals walk parallel to each other, assessing one another's size and strength. But these rituals often escalate. The charge is explosive. The sound of horn crashing against horn is a sharp, percussive crack that shatters the mountain silence, a sound that can carry for miles, a declaration of dominance and the non-negotiable right to breed. These are brutal, exhausting battles of endurance, fought on the edges of sheer drops. The physical toll is immense. A male may lose a significant portion of his body weight during the rut, entering the harshest part of winter in a depleted, vulnerable state. For the victor, the reward is genetic immortality. For the loser, it is often a slow death in the coming cold. It is a high price to pay for fathering the next generation, a price that begs the question, is such a brutal contest the only way to ensure the strength of the species? And as the exhausted males stagger away from the battlefield, their trial is far from over. In fact, their moment of greatest weakness has just begun. This magnificent creature, however, does not exist in a vacuum. Its life is lived under the constant, watchful gaze of a predator as perfectly adapted to this world as the Tur itself, the Eurasian wolf. In the high Caucasus, the relationship between wolf and Tur is an ancient dance of pursuit and evasion. The wolves of Dagestan are adaptable, found from the open steppes to the high forests, but it is in the mountains that their intelligence and social complexity are most apparent. During the winter, when snow lies deep in the valleys, the wolf packs become more cohesive, more focused. They move with an eerie, tireless gait, using established game trails and frozen riverbeds as highways. They use the terrain to their advantage. Their collaborative hunting strategies are testament to their social intelligence. A pack might split up, with some members driving a herd of Tur towards a hidden ambush, or into deep snowdrifts where their long-legged prey flounders, becoming vulnerable. But is this purely instinct, a pre-programmed collaboration honed by eons of evolution? Or does it hint at something more, a conscious strategy, a shared understanding of the landscape and the mind of their prey? To watch them is to witness a form of social intelligence so refined it borders on the profound. The hunt is a strategic collaborative effort. A pack will test a herd, running alongside it, their eyes scanning for the slightest sign of weakness, a young kid, an old female, or a male exhausted from the recent rut. They are relentless pursuers, their cardiovascular systems honed by the thin mountain air. This is a vertical chase where the seasonal the health of the wolf pack is a direct reflection of the health of the Tur herds, and the vigilance of the Tur is a direct result of the ever-present pressure of the wolf. While the wolf is a visible and ever-present force, another, more elusive predator shares these high domains. It is a creature of shadow and myth, a ghost of the mountains, the Persian leopard. Critically endangered across the Caucasus, its population is a fragile flicker of what it once was, with perhaps fewer than 100 individuals remaining across the entire region. In Dagestan, its presence is a secret kept by the most remote and rugged landscapes, a whisper in the vastness of the mountains. The leopard is a solitary hunter, active primarily at dusk and dawn, melting into the landscape as the light fades. Its world is one of stealth, and infinite patience. Its beautifully spotted coat, a pattern of rosettes against a pale, tawny background, provides near-perfect camouflage against the dappled light of the forest and the lichen-covered rocks of the subalpine zone. It moves with a silent, fluid grace, its padded paws making no sound. It is capable of covering vast territories that can span hundreds of square miles, its movements a constant assessment of its domain. A successful hunt, often of the very tour we saw on the higher peaks, requires immense skill and an intimate knowledge of the terrain. A single well-placed ambush can provide food for a week, a vital reprieve in a world of scarcity. But what happens when the prey is scarce or when a hunt fails? How does a solitary ghost, utterly dependent on its own strength, endure the long, hungry weeks? The line between thriving and starving is, for the leopard, impossibly thin. The continued existence of the leopard in Dagestan is a question mark. Sightings are rare, often in the borderlands shared with Georgia and Azerbaijan, suggesting a small, transboundary population clinging to survival. But for an animal this elusive, how can we ever be sure of the true number? Is it a ghost because it is rare, or is it simply a master of remaining unseen? Its fate is threatened by the fragmentation of its habitat, the decline of its natural prey, and the persistent threat of poaching. Each threat is a nail in a potential coffin, leaving conservationists with a desperate question before we even get to solutions. How do you save an animal you can barely find?
That rasping sound you might hear at dusk, like a saw cutting through wood. That is the sound of the ecosystem in balance. The leopard is the fulcrum upon which this world pivots. Its unique voice is a testament to nature's power. To lose that sound is to watch the scales tip into irreversible silence.
This ghost of the mountains is now the focus of an ambitious reintroduction program. In a dedicated breeding center far from these mountains, leopards are being raised for release back into the wild. This is a delicate, complex process. The animals are taught to hunt live prey, to be wary of humans, and to reclaim the instincts of their wild ancestors, all while minimizing their habituation to captivity. Each leopard released with a GPS collar is a beacon of hope, its movements tracked by satellites, its every success and failure providing crucial data for the future of its kind. The return of the leopard is more than the reintroduction of a single species. It is an attempt to restore a missing piece of the soul of the mountains, to make the ecosystem whole once more. The third great predator of the Dagestani mountains is a creature of immense power and surprising adaptability, the Eurasian brown bear. Found in the forested foothills and mountain slopes, the bear is a true omnivore, its life dictated by the seasonal bounty of the land. When it emerges from its winter den in the spring, gaunt and hungry after months of hibernation, it seeks protein. It will use its incredible sense of smell to locate the carcasses of animals that did not survive the winter and will actively hunt for the newborn fawns of roe deer or the vulnerable young of wild boar. It's a brutal but necessary phase to kickstart its metabolism after the long stasis of winter. But as summer arrives, its diet shifts dramatically. The long days are a time of hyperphagia, a frantic period of feeding to build up the fat reserves essential for the next winter's sleep. The forests and meadows become a larder. The bear feasts on a vast array of berries, fruits, nuts and acorns, its powerful sense of smell guiding it from one productive patch to another. It will gorge on wild cherries, raspberries and bilberries, its lips and fur stained with juice. A single bear can consume tens of thousands of calories a day, its body transforming as it accumulates a thick layer of life-sustaining fat beneath its shaggy coat. But this frantic feasting carries its own risks. It forces the bear into more open areas, increasing the chances of a dangerous encounter with humans or other bears. It's a race against the coming winter, a gamble that the bounty of summer will be enough. The bear's winter den, often a cave or a self-excavated burrow beneath the roots of a large tree, is a sanctuary of stillness. The cubs, usually 1 to 3, are born in the darkness of the den between January and February. They are tiny, blind and utterly helpless, weighing less than a pound. They nurse on their mother's rich milk, growing slowly as she slumbers in a state of reduced metabolic activity. They emerge with her in the spring, blinking in the new light, and will remain by her side for up to 2 years. During this time, she will teach them everything they need to know: which plants are safe to eat, where to find the best berry patches, how to dig for roots, and how to avoid danger, particularly from adult male bears who may see them as a threat. It is an intensive apprenticeship in the art of being a bear, a transfer of knowledge that ensures the survival of the next generation. But what happens if that education is cut short? A cub that loses its mother before the end of its 2nd year is almost certainly doomed, a stark reminder that in these mountains, knowledge is as vital as strength. As we descend from the high peaks, the landscape transforms again. The dense mountain forests give way to the vast, arid expanse of the Terek-Kuma Depression, also known as the Nogai Steppe. This is a different world, a semi-desert of sandy, saline soils and extreme temperatures. Life here is not about navigating vertical cliffs, but about enduring heat, drought and scarcity. The vegetation is sparse and specialized, tough, salt-tolerant plants like wormwood and feathergrass that shimmer in the heat haze, their silver-grey foliage a defense against the desiccating sun and wind. This harsh landscape is a crucial winter pasture for livestock, a tradition of transhumance that sees up to 2 million sheep driven down from the mountains to graze here during the cold months. But historically, it was also the domain of one of the most remarkable creatures of the steppe, the saiga antelope. With its distinctive humped nose that functions as a biological air conditioner, filtering dust in the summer and warming frigid air in the winter, the saiga is a perfect adaptation to the extreme continental climate. Though largely extirpated from this region due to historical hunting and habitat loss, its ghost still haunts the steppe, a reminder of the great herds that once roamed these plains. Looking out across the shimmering heat haze, one can't help but wonder, what would it take to see that ghost become flesh and blood again? Is there any path back for the saiga in Dagestan, or has its time here passed forever? The ecosystem is still home to some 50 species of mammals, including the swift Corsac fox and a variety of hardy reptiles like the steppe runner lizard, all adapted to a life of conservation and opportunism in a land where water is the most precious commodity. The health of this steppe is a delicate balance, constantly threatened by overgrazing and the slow, creeping advance of desertification, a process accelerated by a warming climate. How many threads in this fragile web can be broken before the entire ecosystem unravels into a true desert? Further south, at the mouth of the Samur River, lies an ecosystem that feels like a portal to another time. This is the Samur liana forest, a relic from the Tertiary period, one of the last of its kind in Russia. Here in the humid subtropical climate of the delta, giant oaks, poplars and hornbeams are draped in thick evergreen vines or lianas, creating a dense jungle-like canopy that filters the sunlight into a perpetual green twilight. This forest is a living museum, a refuge for species that were once widespread in a warmer, wetter world. Walking beneath its canopy is like stepping into the deep past. But what other biological secrets, what other living fossils remain hidden in its green twilight still unknown to science? It is a critical habitat, harboring over 1,000 species of plants and serving as a vital stopover and wintering ground for countless migratory birds, and even providing shelter for the Eurasian lynx. It is also a crucial spawning ground for the ancient fish of the Caspian Sea, their life cycles inextricably linked to the fresh water of the Samur. The existence of this forest is entirely dependent on the health of the river, making it profoundly vulnerable to water management decisions made far upstream. The entire eastern edge of Dagestan is defined by the Caspian Sea, a vast landlocked body of water that is a world of its own. Its waters are saline, but only about a third as salty as the world's oceans, creating a unique brackish environment that supports a fauna found nowhere else on Earth. But this unique world is in a state of crisis. The Caspian is shrinking. Driven by rising temperatures and increased evaporation, scientific models predict that the sea level could drop by as much as 59 feet by the end of the century. Just stop and picture that for a moment. A 59-foot vertical drop. That's the height of a 6-story building. Imagine the current coastline, and then picture it nearly half a mile further out, the old harbours and fishing villages left stranded in a toxic, salty wasteland. Such a drop would reduce its surface area by a quarter, turning vast, shallow bays like Kizlyar into lifeless salt deserts. What happens to the climate of the entire region when its great inland sea is so drastically altered? This catastrophic desiccation, combined with pollution from oil and gas extraction and industrial waste, is pushing the Caspian's endemic species to the brink of extinction. The most iconic of these is the Caspian seal, the only mammal found exclusively in these waters. It is the smallest seal species in the world, and its population has plummeted from over 1 million a century ago to perhaps less than 70,000 today. Its entire life cycle is tied to the winter ice fields that form in the northern Caspian. It is on this stable platform of ice that the females give birth to their pups in late winter. The pups, with their coat of white lanugo fur, are nursed on the ice until they are strong enough to survive in the cold water.
Look at their eyes, unusually large, perfectly designed to find life in these murky depths. They are flawlessly adapted to this unique world, yet they cannot escape its collapse. Their nursery of ice now melts weeks ahead of schedule, and we are left to watch an animal built for survival become a casualty of a climate it cannot outrun.
The warming climate is stealing their nursery. Without the ice, the seals are forced to congregate on crowded, exposed shorelines where the pups are vulnerable to disease and predation from wolves that patrol the coast. Their fate is a direct barometer of the health of the entire Caspian basin. Sharing this precarious existence are the legendary Caspian sturgeons. The Caspian is the world's most important reservoir for these living fossils, armored survivors from a lost world, including the giant beluga, the Russian sturgeon, and the stellate sturgeon. These ancient fish, which have been swimming in the world's waters since the time of the dinosaurs, are now critically endangered. Decades of overfishing for their prized caviar, coupled with the construction of dams on their natal rivers that block their epic spawning migrations, have led to a catastrophic decline. They are anadromous fish, spending most of their long lives in the Caspian Sea, but requiring freshwater rivers to reproduce. Their late maturity, some not breeding until they are 20 years old, and infrequent spawning make them exceptionally vulnerable to human pressures. The plight of the seal and the sturgeon is not an isolated tragedy. They are symptoms of a systemic failure, a warning that this entire, unique aquatic world is on the verge of collapse. Dagestan's position as a geographic bridge makes it a crucial bottleneck on one of the world's great avian superhighways. Each spring and autumn, millions of birds travel along the West Caspian Flyway, moving between their breeding grounds in Siberia and their wintering homes in Africa and the Middle East. The coastal wetlands, particularly the deltas and Kislia Bay, become vital staging areas, enormous natural airports where these travellers can rest and refuel on their epic journeys. The sky fills with vast V-shaped skeins of geese and whistling flocks of ducks. The mudflats come alive with the frenetic activity of thousands of wading birds. And among the most spectacular visitors is the Dalmatian pelican, with its huge bill pouch and shaggy crest that gives it a prehistoric look. This near-threatened species gathers in large numbers in the coastal reserves. They are social birds, often fishing cooperatively, forming a semicircle to herd shoals of fish into the shallows where they can be easily scooped up. Their survival here depends entirely on the health of these wetlands, which are themselves threatened by the receding sea and upstream pollution. With this vital link in the migratory chain growing weaker every year, one has to ask, where do the millions of birds that depend on it go when this crucial airport finally closes for good? The consequences of that failure will ripple across continents.
Some of these birds have flown for a week without stopping, a feat of endurance that defies imagination. They arrive on the edge of exhaustion, having burned nearly half their body weight as fuel. This wetland is not just a stop, it is a promise. If we break that promise, their epic journey across a continent ends in tragedy.
In the towering ramparts of the high mountains, where the air grows thin and the world unfolds below in a panorama of rock and meadow, a distinct sovereign rules the skies. Here, the resident birds of prey are not mere visitors, but the enduring soul of the alpine wilderness. The golden eagle is the undisputed aerial apex predator, a feathered monarch whose dominion is absolute. It is a creature born of the landscape itself, soaring with immense broad wings upon the invisible columns of thermal updrafts that rise from the sun-warmed slopes. Its presence is a declaration of wildness. From its fortress-like eyrie, built on a sheer, inaccessible cliff face to guard against any conceivable threat, its unblinking telescopic gaze sweeps the vast terrain. With a focus born of millions of years of predatory perfection, it scans the alpine meadows and scree slopes for the flicker of a marmot, the tentative step of a young tur, or the frantic dash of a mountain hare. Its power is breathtaking, but its grace is what truly defines it, a perfect fluid congruence with the grandeur of the landscape it inhabits. And here too we again find the lammergeier, the bearded vulture, a master of a different kind. If the eagle is the mountain's raw power, the lammergeier is its ancient intellect. This magnificent bird is a year-round resident, a testament to the power of specialization. While other species flee the brutal winter, the lammergeier thrives, having carved out a niche that no other creature can fill. It is an osteophage, a bone-eater. Its legendary technique of carrying large bones high into the air and dropping them onto a preferred stone slab, its personal ossuary, is one of the most remarkable examples of tool use in the entire bird world. This is not simple brute force, it is a calculated act, a display of physics and foresight. The bird must judge the weight of the bone, the altitude, the wind, and the precise point of impact to shatter its prize and expose the nutritious marrow within. It is a behavior that requires not just strength but a learned tradition, a culture passed from one generation to the next. The question haunts the imagination: how did the first lammergeier discover this? Was it a serendipitous accident, a dropped meal that revealed a secret? Or was it a moment of profound avian insight, a spark of genius that forever changed its species? It is a query that pushes at the very boundaries of how we define animal intelligence. These birds, from the long-distance migrant to the highly specialized resident, are woven into the very ecological fabric of Dagestan. Their presence and astonishing diversity are a testament to the rich tapestry of habitats the Republic offers, but their futures are inextricably tied to the health of those habitats. In the face of immense and growing pressures, a multifaceted conservation effort is underway. It is a complex narrative of struggle and hope, a patchwork of initiatives that range from high-tech international programs utilizing satellite tracking to grassroots community-led actions driven by local pride. The cornerstone of this effort is a network of protected areas, including the Dagestan Nature Reserve and the Semersky National Park. Yet these vital sanctuaries are fragmented, existing as islands of protection in a wider human-dominated landscape, echoing the fractured ecosystems they are designed to preserve. While they provide a crucial sanctuary for core populations, their ultimate effectiveness for wide-ranging species, like the elusive Persian leopard, depends entirely on maintaining connectivity across the unprotected lands that lie between them.
A bear's claw mark on a tree, the scent of a wolf. This is the mountain's oldest language, a conversation written on the landscape. The animals read it every day. But our noise, our presence, it's drowning out their words. We are trying to preserve a conversation we can barely understand.
In response, the approaches to conservation are necessarily diverse. The Persian leopard reintroduction is a top-down, scientifically driven program, a bold attempt to reverse an extinction. But on the ground, a different kind of conservation is taking root. In the mountains of the Tliarata district, local communities have formed their own anti-poaching brigades to protect the East Caucasian tur. This grassroots movement is a powerful model. It reframes the tur not as a competitor for livestock, but as a valuable asset. It is an approach built on local knowledge and a deep connection to the land. But is this local passion enough when faced with international criminal syndicates interested in trophies? It stands in stark contrast to the challenges facing the Caspian, where local actions are insufficient. The survival of the Caspian seal and sturgeon depends on international cooperation between the 5 littoral states, a level of political and environmental governance that has so far proven tragically inadequate. Dagestan stands at a crossroads. Its extraordinary natural heritage, forged in the crucible of its spectacular geography, is threatened by a complex web of local and global pressures. The reintroduction of the leopard is a powerful symbol of hope, but its success is not guaranteed. It is a gamble on the future, an act of faith that the entire mountain ecosystem can be secured and restored enough to support its rightful king. A resilient future for the land of mountains can only be secured through a sustained commitment to science, to transboundary cooperation, and most importantly to empowering the local communities to become the dedicated guardians of their own irreplaceable natural heritage. The story of life in Dagestan has always been one of adaptation and survival in a world of extremes. The next chapter will be determined by whether humanity can adapt its own behavior to ensure that this wild, beautiful and fragile world endures. But the clock is ticking. The science is clear. The warnings from the ecosystem are growing louder, from the vanishing ice of the Caspian to the silent forests where the leopard no longer roams. Will the disparate efforts of scientists, governments and local villagers coalesce into a force strong enough to turn the tide? Or will future generations know the wild heart of Dagestan only through stories and grainy photographs, a ghost of a world that was lost not for a lack of love, but a lack of time? Beneath the grand narrative of the high peaks and the vast sea, countless other lives unfold in the more intimate spaces of the Dagestani wilderness, in the dense woodlands that cloak the mountain foothills, and within the very fabric of the river systems. Other specialists have perfected their own unique strategies for survival. Their stories, though often quieter and more hidden, are no less essential to the intricate tapestry of life in the land of mountains. The forested belt of the Caucasus, a domain of oak, beech and hornbeam, is a world of dappled light and deep shadow, a stark contrast to the open, windswept heights favoured by the Tur. This is the kingdom of another, equally remarkable cliff dweller, the Caucasian chamois. More slender and graceful than the powerfully built Tur, the chamois is an animal of edges, perfectly at home in the precipitous terrain where the forest meets the alpine zone. Its coat, a rich brown in summer, turns to a pale grey-brown in winter, providing excellent camouflage against both tree bark and rock. The chamois is an acrobat of breathtaking skill. It is capable of leaping 6.5 feet straight up into the air or 20 feet across a chasm. This incredible ability is its primary defense. While a Tur might stand its ground or navigate a rock face with deliberate power, a chamois vanishes. At the first sign of danger, the snap of a twig that signals a lurking lynx, or the shadow of a golden eagle passing overhead, it emits a sharp, whistling sneeze through its nostrils. This sound, a piercing alarm, alerts every chamois in the vicinity, and in an instant the herd explodes into motion, bounding up impossible inclines and disappearing into the safety of the most inaccessible crags. Their hooves, like those of the Tur, are masterpieces of natural engineering, but their lighter build gives them a different kind of nimbleness, a ghost-like ability to ricochet off rock faces and fade into the landscape. It's a dance with gravity that seems almost supernatural, but is it a skill that is learned or purely innate? And in a world of such high stakes, what happens when a single hoof placement is misjudged or a leap falls short? The line between escape and oblivion is measured in inches. Unlike the tour, which forms large herds, chamois are often found in smaller, more loosely knit family groups led by an experienced female. The adult males, known as bucks, are largely solitary outside of the autumn rut. They spend their days browse on the leaves and shoots of trees and shrubs, their diet more varied than the tour's grass-focused grazing. In winter, they retreat deeper into the forested slopes, using their hooves to dig through the snow for frozen leaves and lichens clinging to tree trunks. The life of a chamois is one of constant vigilance, a nervous energy perfectly suited to a world where danger can emerge silently from the shadows of the forest below or swoop down from the empty sky above. Deeper within these same forests, in the quiet understory where sunlight struggles to reach the floor, lives a more secretive ungulate, the Siberian roe deer. Smaller and more delicate than the other hoofed mammals of the mountains, the roe deer is a creature of the dense cover. Its life is not lived on the open stage of the alpine meadows, but in the intimate enclosed world of the woods. During the day, it often rests in a shallow depression or form completely hidden from view, its reddish-brown summer coat providing perfect camouflage amongst the dead leaves and ferns. It is primarily crepuscular, emerging at the soft-lit hours of dawn and dusk to browse on forbs, buds and tender leaves. The roe deer's social life is vastly different from that of the herd-dwelling tour or chamois. They are territorial, with a male or buck defending a specific area against other males. In the spring and early summer, he marks the boundaries of his domain by rubbing the scent glands on his forehead against trees and thrashing at low-hanging branches with his short, sharp antlers. These are not the grand, sweeping horns of a tour, but small, dagger-like weapons used in brief but vicious territorial disputes. The roe deer's reproductive strategy is one of nature's most fascinating adaptations. The rut occurs in the heat of late summer, a period of intense activity where the buck will chase the female or doe in circles, often wearing a roe ring into the forest floor. But after mating, something remarkable happens. The fertilized egg does not immediately implant in the doe's uterus. Instead, its development is paused in a state of suspended animation known as embryonic diapause. The embryo will not begin to grow again until the middle of winter. This incredible adaptation ensures that the fawns, usually twins, their coats dappled with white spots for camouflage, are born the following spring in May or June, when the forest is lush with new growth and food is abundant. It is a strategy of perfect timing, a quiet, hidden process that links the heat of one summer to the promise of new life in the next. It is a silent, breathtaking gamble on the future, a perfect synchronization with the rhythm of the seasons. But doesn't this reliance on secrecy and subtlety also make it uniquely vulnerable? A tour can use power and a chamois can use speed, but how does the roe deer defend itself when the forest that hides it begins to shrink? The forest floor that the roe deer treads so lightly is constantly being tilled and overturned by another, far more robust resident, the wild boar. This powerful and intelligent animal is the ultimate omnivore, an adaptable survivor found throughout the deciduous and mixed forests of Dagestan. They live in social groups called sounders, typically led by a dominant older matriarch. These groups consist of related females and their young, while the adult males, with their formidable upward-curving tusks, tend to live solitary lives, only joining the sounders during the breeding season. The wild boar is a vital ecosystem engineer. Its entire life is the search for food, and its primary tool is its tough cartilaginous snout, which it uses to root and plough through the forest floor. This constant digging aerates the soil, helps to decompose the leaf litter, and disperses the seeds of plants and the spores of fungi. In an oak forest in autumn, a sounder of boar can be a force of nature, noisily turning over the earth in search of fallen acorns, a critical fat-rich food source that helps them build reserves for the winter. Their diet is incredibly varied. They will eat roots, tubers, worms, insects, carrion, and even the young of ground-nesting birds. This adaptability is the key to their success. While they are a crucial prey species for the region's top predators, particularly the Persian leopard and the wolf, a cornered wild boar, especially a large male with his razor-sharp tusks, is a formidable and dangerous adversary. Its grunting, snorting presence is a constant earthy reminder of the forest's deep primal energy. They are, in every sense, the tireless gardeners of the forest, but as their numbers fluctuate, one must ask, where is the line between beneficial engineering and potential disruption? Could this same rooting behavior in a damaged or fragmented forest actually hinder regeneration rather than help it? It's a delicate balance, managed only by the presence of their predators. Away from the grand drama of the high peaks, other hunters, no less skilled, ply their trade in more specialized domains. If the leopard is the ghost of the high, open crags, then the Eurasian lynx is the phantom of the deep forest. Its presence is confirmed in the dense subtropical liana forests of the Samur Delta, and it likely inhabits other secluded woodlands in the foothills. The lynx is a creature of profound stealth, a hunter perfectly designed for the close quarters of its chosen habitat. Its appearance is unmistakable. The long, tufted ears that act as sensitive antennae picking up the faintest sounds, the short black-tipped tail, and the massive fur-covered paws that function like snowshoes, allowing for silent, weightless movement over the forest floor. The lynx is a pure ambush predator. Unlike a wolf, it does not rely on stamina to run down its prey. Instead, it relies on utter concealment and a sudden explosive burst of speed. Its hunting strategy is a study in patience. It will lie in wait for hours, motionless beside a game trail or in a thicket overlooking a clearing, its keen eyes, reputedly able to spot a mouse at 246 feet, fixed on its surroundings. Its preferred prey is the roe deer, an animal that perfectly matches its size and habitat. The hunt is a silent, nerve-wracking affair. The lynx will use every piece of cover, fallen logs, dense undergrowth, the shadow of a large tree to stalk to within striking distance. The final attack is lightning fast. A few powerful bounds are all it takes to close the distance, its claws extended to grip the prey while it delivers a precise, suffocating bite to the throat. Its success depends entirely on the element of surprise. If its prey detects it and bolts, the lynx will rarely give chase for more than a few dozen meters, preferring to conserve its energy and begin the patient stalk anew. This secretive cat is a vital part of the forest ecosystem, a check on the herbivore population that ensures the health and balance of the woodlands it so silently inhabits. In the blistering heat and arid landscapes of the Nogai steppe, a different kind of hunter endures a life governed by the sun. The steppe viper. This small, venomous snake is a master of survival in an environment of extreme temperatures. As an ectotherm, its body temperature is dictated by its surroundings, and its daily routine is a carefully managed quest for thermal balance. The early morning finds it basking on a patch of sun-warmed sand or a flat rock, absorbing the solar energy it needs to become active. Its pale, patterned skin provides excellent camouflage against the dry earth, making it almost invisible to prey and predators alike. As the midday sun becomes relentlessly hot, the viper retreats, seeking shelter in a rodent burrow or beneath a hardy shrub to avoid overheating. It becomes most active again in the relative cool of the late afternoon and evening. Its hunting strategy is the polar opposite of the wolf's energetic chase. It is a model of energy conservation. The viper will often lie in wait near the entrance to a gerbil burrow or along a trail used by small rodents, its body coiled and perfectly still. It relies on its highly developed sense of smell and its ability to detect vibrations in the ground. When an unsuspecting mouse or lizard comes within range, the strike is instantaneous, a blur of motion too fast for the eye to follow. It injects a potent hemotoxic venom and then immediately retreats, waiting patiently for the venom to do its work before tracking its dying prey by scent. The life of the viper is a slow, patient rhythm, a silent testament to the fact that in this harsh land, success belongs not always to the swift and the strong, but to the patient and the perfectly adapted. The rivers that flow from the mountain glaciers to the Caspian Sea are more than just geographical features. They are dynamic ecosystems, corridors of life that host their own unique inhabitants. In the clear, cold, fast-flowing streams of the Caucasus foothills, a playful and supremely efficient predator makes its home, the Eurasian otter. A member of the weasel family, the otter is built for a life in water. Its long, streamlined body, powerful tail and webbed feet make it an agile and graceful swimmer. Its dense, waterproof fur traps a layer of air against its skin, providing insulation against the cold mountain water. The otter's life appears to be one of joyful exuberance. They are known for their playful behavior, sliding down muddy banks and snow-covered slopes or juggling pebbles with their dexterous forepaws. But this play has a serious purpose, honing the coordination and skills necessary for a successful hunter. Their primary diet consists of fish which they pursue underwater with remarkable speed and agility. Their sensitive whiskers, or vibrissae, can detect the faintest vibrations made by fish moving in murky water or under rocks, allowing them to hunt effectively, even in low-light conditions. They will also eat crayfish, frogs, and occasionally a water vole or a bird. The presence of otters in a river system is a powerful indicator of ecosystem health. They require clean, unpolluted water and healthy fish populations to survive. Their dens, called holts, are often excavated in the riverbank, with an underwater entrance providing security from terrestrial predators like wolves or bears. The sight of an otter, its sleek head breaking the surface of a clear mountain stream, is a reassuring sign that the river itself is alive and well, a vibrant artery pumping life from the heart of the mountains down towards the sea. In the canopy of the broadleaf forests, another life unfolds, far removed from the struggles on the ground or in the water. This is the domain of the Caucasian squirrel, a nimble arboreal rodent. Its life is a constant vertical scramble through the branches of oaks, beeches, and hornbeams. Its sharp claws provide an excellent grip on bark, and its long, bushy tail acts as a superb counterbalance for daring leaps between trees, and as a parachute to slow its descent should it fall. The rhythm of the squirrel's year is dictated by the production of tree nuts. Autumn is a period of frantic activity. It is a race to gather and store as many acorns, beech nuts and hazelnuts as possible before they are consumed by other forest dwellers like the wild boar. The squirrel does not store all its food in one large larder. Instead, it engages in a behavior known as scatter hoarding, burying hundreds or even thousands of individual nuts in shallow holes across its territory. Its survival through the lean months of winter depends on its remarkable spatial memory, its ability to relocate these tiny hidden caches, often under a blanket of snow. This behavior, born of individual necessity, has a profound and beneficial effect on the entire forest. The nuts that the squirrel fails to find, and there are always many, are perfectly planted to germinate the following spring. In this way, the squirrel becomes an unwitting and highly effective forester, ensuring the regeneration of the very trees that provide its food and shelter. Its life is a constant state of alertness, its large eyes ever watchful for danger from above, particularly from raptors like the goshawk. The sharp, chattering alarm call of a squirrel is one of the most effective warning systems in the forest, alerting deer, boar, and other creatures on the ground to the presence of a potential threat. It is a small but vital voice in the complex, interconnected web of woodland life.
Look at the tur. It lives on the edge of the abyss, strong, fearless, and free. It is the spirit of our people sculpted from horn and muscle. To let it die is to let a part of ourselves die. We are not just saving an animal, we are defending our own soul written against the sky.